How can you be sure that you're not settling for less when you're in a relationship? That you're not simply staying in it just because it's comfortable and familiar? And if you do realize you're settling, what next? On today's episode of Growing Pains, we spoke with Charlotte about how complicated relationships can get. Give it a listen. Well, guys, I want to start this one off by asking, how do you know when you're in love?
هتبدأ أنت شعر.
ابدي انت.
Okay.
ابدي انت انا رش هتيت.
It's a tough question. But to me, the second you start rooting for someone and you're ready to compromise yourself to benefit them, €1,000 ħjar tiegħek milli tiegħi kind of thing. I think over there you're viewing them as greater than yourself, and I think that's where, to me, that is love. Because you don't have that for someone you've known for 2-3 weeks. You have that for someone you've built a foundation with for months, if not years. That's my answer. Shtaħsbu, ladies.
As in, I agree. I feel like it's difficult though it's difficult to tell when you're in love, because it's not like one day you'll snap your fingers and you're in love. It's very much a process.
Jiena ħakun onesta ma'kom tajib. Jiena in my previous relationships, don't imagine that I'm just gonna open up the book tajib u ngħidilkom li ma kienu vera m'għandekx fejn ġifieri taża. But I felt like sometimes it was that and sometimes I just had no idea. Like tipo asidea, and I fell in love. You know what I mean? Like it was a process. I didn't know. But then also another thing, Istra, and let me know if I'm going on a tangent. I'm one of those people that didn't really have many guy friends growing up.
Okay.
Like the only guy friends I had, tipo, in my mind, well, not in my mind actually, anka kif ġrat il-biċċa ta' xogħol then, but they ended up liking me or they liked me.
I get what you mean.
You know what I mean?
I get what you mean, Ta. How did that affect your relationships in Mumbai?
Kanna, man. Like, I just want a guy friend, you know? I mean, it's good, y'all. Like, if you like me, well, good.
Ego boost.
Imma, eżat. Imma, then, when, for example, I'm a friend with a guy, and suddenly, dal-ostra, like, as soon as I found out that he likes me, and I think girls know. Like, I think we know.
Yes, you can always sense it.
I don't know about y'all, but I think we know.
Yes.
You can always sense that we xixti u ma jriċ. Imma when I didn't used to sense that, and then jiġi fuq u jgħidli, and then even the friendship, like, you know.
I think for guys it's different. I think if a girl communicates to a guy, listen, I think I like you, the second they say that, we start liking them back, because we're so not used to getting the maybe attention that maybe girls would get on social media, so on and so forth. So I think the second we do get that bit of attention, it's not we don't obsess. Maybe some men do, but we get a bit carried away.
I think some literally do, because it's true. It's not usual that like it's the girl going up to the guy and making that first move. So
yeah.
I guess.
Taħseb li that can go wrong. Like, imagine you're a guy. Imagine there's a guy, and I go up to him and I'd be like, "Hey, I like you," and maybe necessarily he doesn't like me back, but because of other reasons that we might delve into. He'll suddenly like me.
I think
you know what I mean?
You have to differentiate from infatuation to genuine feelings, because I feel like if, for example, a girl approaches me and says that she likes me or something like that, the excitement might grow a mind of its own, and I might act out of excitement. So everything is pretty, everything is great, everything is beautiful. But what happens once the excitement is gone? What happens once that excitement dies? Am I still gonna fancy the person? Am I still gonna root for the person? Do I still like sitting down and having a conversation with the person?
I like how you said it.
Did that ever happen to you guys?
Eva.
Thank you. Growing pains. Did that ever happen with you guys?
I don't think that's ever happened. Actually. Imma like meta kont żgħira. You know, so it's like more like
You know, I say it straight and plain, ġifieri. Ma nafx kif ħatider, but I'm going to be very honest. But sometimes, and I know, there are people who do it as well. But you know when you're bored?
Yes,
You know when you're bored. And
let me fuck with someone.
But fuck it, but you just go for it.
So that has happened.
I guess the important thing is that if you manage to call it quits when it's lived its course, once
Don't
that
let
is
it
done,
get too far.
and then you could really focus on someone you see yourself building a foundation with, because the last thing that you want is you take it a step too far with someone that you are just excited about, that you don't really have a connection with, and you end up getting into a long-term relationship with them, and you just straight up end up settling with
Then
them.
it
Not
gets
settling
messy.
down, but settling. When you're you're not unhappy, but you're unsatisfied with the way the relationship is going, and maybe the other person's in a world of their own saying, oh, this is great, and you're just there rotting in a relationship with someone.
It can be so awkward.
Your Facebook relationship status is different, and so you could take a couple cute photos on Instagram with them. That's
I
the
feel
most
like that
dangerous
tends to
thing.
happen when people fall in love with the idea of having a boyfriend, with the idea of being in a relationship, but then when it actually gets to it, when a few months or a few years pass, that's like, is this actually what I want? Is this person actually the type of person I want to be with, or am I just comfortable? Or am I just...
What made you want to fall in love? Was it that Adam Sandler rom-com that you watched, or is it a connection that you built with someone? I feel like everyone wants to, well, not everyone wants to, but everyone kind of looks at a relationship as like that final goal. When I meet the right person, I'm going to be happy, and we're going to settle down, and we're going to be happily ever after. And they ignore the consequences of getting into a relationship with someone that they're not passionate about, someone that they don't care too much about. And you just end up getting tied into this. It's so hard to leave because you got comfortable with the person. You don't want to start all over.
And then it's just not fair on anyone.
No.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah.
Għatħassejtukom like you got into a relationship and you just feel, where is this going? I'm bored. And your partner was just like, this is great. Like,
Sure, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
I personally have been in that situation without spilling the beans
Pero,
too much. But I have felt
was the other person in an oblivion, or did they know what was going on?
a bit
you
of
think?
both. It was weird, a bit of both. But I think it tends to happen as well when you start a relationship very young. You just, a lot of people tend to just grow apart.
Yes.
So it's not a matter of like, this relationship is really bad because he's toxic or
It's not that straight in your
sometimes
face.
people
As
just
in,
grow apart. And it's very sad.
very bittersweet,
to be honest.
Yes.
how did that feel when you noticed that? You
Illallo.
noticed yourself growing apart from the person
It's
that
very
you love.
heartbreaking. It's very difficult to go through, to be honest, because there is being in love with someone and there is loving someone. They're two very different things.
For
Being
sure.
in love with someone and loving someone are two very different things. You can break up with someone but still love them. And that's difficult. Because if you break up with someone because they fucked you over, malawiya, whatever.
Tipo,
But if you love the person and you're breaking their heart,
that's
it's
really
kera.
hafna. Yeah, me too. I think if it sends, oh my God, is my voice cracking? Throat chakra who?
All right.
All right, Hadida. That is really hard. Naħseb jena, yes, Astra, when that happens, because it's one thing if, like Nai said, something really bad happens, you know, because that's the thing. I think even when you get over that, when you're in the midst of like getting over someone, I feel like if that someone did something bad to you or you to them, it's hard. It's easier
Of course, because
To
you're
get
angry
over
and
it.
you
to
need
get
to
over
communicate
it.
something
But when
negative.
you literally did nothing and you just grew apart because you guys are going in different directions. And also another thing I'd like to mention is, and I don't know if you guys feel the same about it, but I feel like, at least at the moment, I'm reading a lot of things, and I'm also coming to realize that relationships aren't as black and white as they were presented to us. That's the phase I'm going through right now, and I'm really trying my best to read about relationships and different type of relationships and what they can be, what they aren't, what they might. Dal ħafna. But also, I still have rooted like in me, via like background or family work, that like a relationship has to be and is a certain way. So what I'm saying is I'm coming to terms with, or I'm being introduced to these different ways of how a relationship can be and what it is. What is a relationship, man? Something that you give
It's
a
very
title to. Is it something that you don't give a title to? Imma mbagħad fl-istess ħin tipo I remember my first relationship, per eżempju. It was my first relationship. We were great together. It was beautiful. I don't regret it at all. But it was that thing of us growing separately, like in our separate ways.
Especially when you're still young.
And it was that thing of being young, but at the same time you have all these things in mind of like, tipo ta' jekk jiena da madal proxmu and we're 18, mela, you know what? Tipo, I'm 18 and I'm gonna do whatever it takes biex ħanibqa' miegħu and like get married as well and have kids and
then you get blinded by that quasi.
yes, and that is the potential, like you're not really facing at the time. For example, for me it was hard because I didn't know if I should face the facts, which is the present, because that is the only factual thing, how I'm feeling right now, how he's feeling right now. Or imagine this future اللي m'għandi l-ebda bloody control fuq. You know?
And that goes hand in hand with what we said earlier of, are you in the relationship because you like the person, or is this a personal goal, a personal itch that you want to scratch? Is the final checkbox complete when you get married and have a kid, but then you're doing that with the wrong person? You know what I mean?
I like to think of it in a way of either in a relationship and you hit the 2-year mark. I like to think of it as like, if I had to meet this person now, so inside these 2 years, if I had to meet this person now, would I date them from scratch?
Yes and
If
no.
the answer is, I like to think of it that way. Because if the answer is yes, then okay.
Then you're still good.
But
What do you think about
if
this?
I'm hesitant to say yes, mela,
I
be.
agree with you, but there's a slight part of me that disagrees for a very simple reason. Look, I think you should always be attracted to your partner. You should always be drawn to your partner. If not, you're doing something wrong or you're with the wrong person. But do not ignore, because a lot of people call it quits very early nowadays. They see there's this red flag culture. Once you see a red flag, you're like, oh, that's a red flag, sis, I'm out. Or that's a red flag, bro, I'm out. And there are these quick decisions being made. But the foundation you build with someone, let's say you've been with someone for 2 years and you're hanging out, you're having deep conversations, you're compromising,
You're growing,
you're growing, you're catering to each other's love languages, you're getting used to each other, you're becoming two completely new, different people.
Oh yes,
so
for sure.
the reason I would be drawn to my girlfriend after 2 years would be the same reason I was drawn to her 2 years ago. But nowadays, it's not the same woman that I met 2 years ago. In my case, 5. So you could see...
But that's why you should be asking that question.
Yes, but entirely, you have to understand that this person has been influenced by me and I have been influenced by this person for 5 years. So we're completely different. If I were with someone else for the past 5 years,
You would have been
I'd be a
totally
completely
different.
different dude to what I am now. So I agree with you in the sense that you should want to date the person now, completely understand. But the person you met 5 years ago and the person you're with 5 years later, completely different.
Oh yes, it's deeper than that. But I like just thinking about it.
Jiena xi ħaġa li timmeraviljani hija l-fatt.
You make me laugh so much.
Hija l-fatt li like some people have been married, for example, for like 50 years.
Ma.
Relaxed.
Like,
It's
I'm going
crazy,
through a
yeah.
bit of a crisis palissa tajjeb. I'm gonna because I'm going through a bit of a crisis right now. Because honestly, my relationships are only lasting like a year or so.
Ma kemm għandek żmien?
Oh no, guys, yeah, no, yeah. I'm 21.
Allura.
Yes, it's fine. Imma, again, with the mentality I have that, isma, if there is a someone that I like and I build something with them, I'll do whatever it takes to work through whatever it is. Because again, like this idea of illallu man, like 50th anniversary, bro, like silver, gold, limu. You know, il-krizi jemmek ta' I mean, honestly, again, nimmeravilja ruki, għaxina ma nafx kif il-Marija ma toffi. Like, dan nisir nexxielu. I'm like, yo, but are you really happy? Like, come on. Like 50 years, you know? Because what if, like, I don't know, maybe we're not made to be.
I feel like we all know at least one
Malla.
couple, which whenever we look at, we're like, but like, they're not made for each other. Like, it's a ticking time bomb until they break up. Because some people just don't realize. I feel like some people are settling for each other, but they don't even realize.
Don't you think it typically tends to be maybe the more traditional, like I said, checkbox people that just want to get married, have kids,
Yes.
throw
And
a
even,
party
like-
for the grisma of their kid and like stuff like that.
Jena mekta għal-krizi, għax palissa tinħosni, like I'm divided. It's like, dil-parti vera soda tijaj li hija mibnija, you know, fuq dal-idejatu, fuq reliġjon, mux għax ġifiri, you know. But, and then there's this other part of me who is, you know, actually questioning my beliefs and realizing some shit. And there's a little something going on, you know what I mean?
I think,
Like-
so I don't know what makes your relationships end 8 months to 1 year in or something like that, but I think the secret sauce of knowing what you want in a
Sauce.
relationship,
Yeah.
the secret sauce is knowing yourself first. Because this is what me and I were speaking about earlier today. If I'm an unsatisfied person and Nai is an unsatisfied person and we come together and satisfy each other
Yes.
and we're just getting happy because of each other,
That is an attachment.
That's when you become
that is-
dependent on
that
the
is
person.
shit, leave.
Yes.
But if I am content, I know
As
myself,
you.
Nai is content and knows
As
herself,
her.
and we get together and we celebrate our contentness and our happiness. That and then is a beautiful relationship. You've got two energetic people that are crazy about each other, that'll do a lot
Working,
for each other.
yes.
Exactly. So the more you uncover your mind and uncover your beliefs and
Yes.
this and that, I think
And that for sure, for sense, I mean, personally, sissa, like, also, this could be me, ġifiri, but I'm not a person who dates a lot. Since honestly, I get into relationships not with me not knowing how I got into them.
But you're not
'cause
constantly looking
but I'm not
for it.
looking.
You're not desperate
I'm really not
for
looking
it.
for it because I know I'm independent. You know, I'm that type of person li jekk irid nagħmel xi ħaġa, if I go to a concert, if I go out to eat, I can take myself to do those things. Like, so I don't need to have someone by my side. That's why also I take it very seriously when it comes to relationships.
And that's good.
'cause-
I think that's a good
yes. So, like, with what you said, I feel like that definitely, like, for example, having said all that, the easiest, for example, I think for me to get through a relationship, or get through a breakup, like, for example, the easy way for me would be to get into another relationship,
it's like when your dog dies, you get a new one.
per example. But I know that's not the healthy, so I don't do it. Like, the healthy option for me, again, for me, you know, is to surround myself with friends, go to therapy.
just work on yourself.
And just work on myself.
Sit
I
with
feel
it,
like
man.
I mean, for me, whenever I was gonna get into a relationship, fej jiena ma konċ vera soda fija nifsi f'dak il-moment.
It's always
out with friends, enjoy yourself, get your mind off it, but take the opportunity to really sit with it, sit with what you disliked,
Yes.
what made it go there,
Yes.
where you were shit in the relationship, where they
Yes.
were shit to you. Because at
And be
the end of
honest
the
with
day,
yourself.
Especially also...
Don't just blame the other person. Like,
Especially,
also understand where you might have gone
Yes.
wrong.
exactly.
Especially if you grew apart.
Otherwise, you're just surrounding yourself with friends who are telling you, no, that person was a piece of shit and you're the best. And you're not realizing what your mistakes
That's not
were.
realistic.
You're not realizing what you want out of a relationship. So I think really sitting with it and analyzing what you want, where you went wrong. Because you have to learn from relationship to relationship. If you have 3 relationships, let your third one be the final one, the one that you've learned the most for. It's like you're getting experience and you're taking it to your soulmate, your perfect person.
I listened to this podcast. Can I mention it?
Yes.
All right. Madoffi. I know the woman who does it. Her name is Gillian Turecki. Madoffi.
Okay.
But basically, she's a relationship like counselor, and she has quite an experience when it comes to these things. And her podcasts, I found them very, very useful because she speaks about a lot of things, and she doesn't. Mish ħatiddeja like tgħidilek kif inhi, like, and she hits a nerve. You know, as a listener, tipota. But she helps you still. And she speaks about how in a relationship, whatever happened, whoever the person is that you're with, you're always the common denominator.
Yep. So true.
That's
I feel
a
like
really cool way to look at it,
that
honestly.
really, tipo, jek tgħidli, jinnaf jek xaħat jgħidli, inti x'tisma' whatever ngħidlek di l-ostra minn kienet or whatever, dik vera baqgħet moħħi. Because it's with anything. You really cannot like have control over what the other person is feeling or thinking, because honestly, like, we're all different people, all are trying our best.
Mushek.
You know, trying to create something together, tipo. But you can only take care, like, you're the common denominator. Oh.
Exactly. Like if 2 of your partners have expressed the same thing to you.
Tipo,
and
ding, ding, ding.
You still
The
don't
ring
think
ding,
you're
but-
the problem, like.
Yeah, you know.
Need a bit of a reality check, man.
You know.
Exactly.
Have you ever experienced this with a friend? Like, have you ever noticed a friend of yours isn't settling for someone or just being toxic? How do you even deal with that? How do you, like,
Yes. It's hard,
confront them?
It's hard. As in,
Because most of the time they won't even listen.
Personalment, they listen. But there's only so much you can do. Like, ismani. You know, enough. If they're driving the bus. U tipota edha fuq the bus with them. And I'm telling them, listen, like, if you keep going emmek, you know, it's gonna be a dead end, whatever, dead end. I mean, fuq il-bus maħħom, ninżel minn fuq il-coach biex ngħidilhom, you know what I mean, she's gonna, like, they're gonna run me over,
see the dead
like,
end before.
Literally, you can only do so much.
And realistically, you need to learn as you go.
You know, I feel like something else ukoll, it's something that you really have to go through. Tipo, kemm jgħidu like affarijiet, it's with anything but relationships as well, like, make mistakes, try your best. You know, and also xi ħaġa oħra li jiena mbagħad bija, per eżempju, is holding a grudge on my past self. That is something, per eżempju, li I'm aware of and I'm trying to do better. Because, like, who the hell am I biex I guilt trip and I shame a version of Charlotte that didn't know any better.
No,
Issa, proset, paroli, like, tough, you know, but now.
Esatto.
You
You
know?
learn as you go. You
Yes.
fuck up and that's how you learn. Not everyone is perfect at everything this.
I think that as long as what you're doing with anything, relationships, anything, but relationships, għaxa din nitkellmu fuqhom relationships, as long as what you're doing is coming from a good place,
As long as you don't have bad intentions.
I think that's great.
No, for sure.
I think.
I think, again, you really need to make peace with kind of yourself and be confident in what you're bringing to the table, because I'm sure there are 1,000 lovely things that you would do that all of your partners would speak to each other about.
Yes.
I'm sure there are great things. So spending your time reflecting on the things you did negatively, you know, like adding constructiveness to it, if that makes sense, and say, we are għal darba naf, rather than, ostja, Charlotte, you idiot, like, and there's carrying that anger and rage.
Extreme, you know, there's that extreme, and that's not healthy either.
You need to understand that you're the common denominator, but also you can't be too harsh on yourself.
Exactly.
There are some things which you
and also,
simply
like,
can't control.
And it's totally normal to, tipo, fall into that cycle, or maybe not cycle, fall on the line, like be on the line and be their extremes, and really find it hard to maybe balance those two extremes. But if you need help, like, there is a lot where you can get it from.
Yes.
Tipo, even you know, I mean, honestly, since therapy has really helped me, you know. Services like Kellimni have really helped as well at times, because, you know, therapy, first of all, therapy is really expensive. Second of all, like, sometimes, you know, there are days where like my next appointment is next week, like, and I'm having like a meltdown a couple of days before, you know, and
you don't book your meltdowns.
You know? And like, honestly, oħra u kol, kem ħaddum titkellem ma sħabek fuq l-istess fucking ħaġa. Xi drabi anka dik man jiena nħossni guilty. Like, kem ħaddum ngħid lil ħabibti fuq l-istess ostja ġufni. Tipo, give her a break. Like, tell girl, it's okay.
Oh yes, if your friend had to come up to you and tell you about someone, you tell her, yes, mela.
You know, again, with the red flags and the bus, like, visualization type of thing. Min jaf kamil darba, like, nizlet minn fuq l-ostja bassi, u għazli, like, fimtum bat ħamur nkellma fuq, like,
but that's what friends are for.
Yes. Cue that song. That's what friends are for. But yeah.
Ma nafiex.
Oh my God, serjetà.
I don't.
Ara Madonna. Wejja.
Boomers u aħna.
No,
wait, taf kamilla di-schedule ma doffi. Oh my God. Issa nsibilkom wara.
Isimaw di, imagine 1 year and a half, 2 years in a relationship.
Yes.
Not suddenly, maybe over the course of a couple of months, you start noticing, you know what, we haven't had a date night in a while. I don't feel like the person's energy is right around me. I feel like we've become a bit boring. I feel like it's a bit stale. What should I do? Fuck it. I'm comfortable. I don't feel like the hassle of leaving, having to go through the uncomfortable experience of breaking up, the uncomfortable experience of getting the fuck over it, and the uncomfortable task of, the beautiful task of getting to know someone else, but the uncomfortable task of restarting a relationship that has such strong foundations. What do you do?
I feel like in that case, l-ewwel net taġġilx ġejb il-breakup u mhux breakup. First, communicate what you're feeling. See if the other person is feeling the same way. See if there's any way how you can maybe fix it or make it better. Mbagħad ara jekk hux breakup jew mhux breakup. Taġġilx, pass. Don't let your thoughts sort of panic you and stop you from doing anything, because then it's just a recipe for disaster if you don't do anything.
Yes.
You need to communicate.
And I'd say also, like, communicate, but communicate with the person. Because communicate can be like communicate with a friend, communicate with a family, or whether you like it or not. For sense, I feel like, I mean, it depends. Like, friends are gonna root for you, family as well. Tipota, you know, like, you need to speak with the other, with the numerator. Yes. But then also, like, I don't know if I like that, this numerator or denominator, because denominator is very taħt le denominator.
Yes.
Like, Astrid tkun taħt.
But technically, you're their numerator.
Eva.
So it's okay.
Ħattek. Okay,
and I feel like in that case, something like date night to ek, that's something that jasra if you communicate well.
Yes.
And if you give
Maybe
each
you
other the
can-
space to speak and be honest with each other and understand each other, that's something that might be fixed. Forsi,
Yes.
it's deeper than that,
Yes.
and unfortunately, what you have to break
Again,
up.
you're two people experiencing this relationship. Inti qed toħodha mod, dak li jkun qed joħodha mod ieħor, but please like communicate with the other. And I know it's hard, it's really hard. Like
It's very difficult.
it's very difficult to like speak about, to have difficult conversations. Like they're difficult conversations for a reason.
But you just need to rip the band-aid and do it, because
The earlier you bring it up, the more it's going to benefit you
Mushek.
moving forward. Because if you nip it at the bud and say, listen, whoa,
Isma, as in
taking me a bit for granted here, buddy. You haven't taken me out in a while. Your energy is always low and we're around each other and it's foul film. Ala dejjem torqot. Like what's this? Put some energy into me.
Also, something about the communication, which li jena edha naħdem naqra fuq, għax I have a habit of not doing this type, again, from the many books, and Jillian, my bestie.
Shout out Jilly.
Shout out Jillian, hey boo. Madonna. Imma, when you have these conversations, xi ħaġa I'm trying to take on board with me hija li I start off by saying how I feel instead of you xinta mintek, u intijek. I mean, jiena ma nafx, ma kull meta like persuna really like does that or did that to me, I really feel tipo like closed and closed off. And then obviously I'm gonna like fight
blurt
back.
out everything.
But it would be different if you start off with saying, listen, I'm feeling this way. Because it happened that jara boom 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 boom. I feel that when you do this, da 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 da. Do you think we can do something about it? Because I really don't like the way I'm feeling.
Beautiful.
I just feel like with these awkward conversations, you just need to calm down, be with your thoughts, slow down, taħtaf, xtajjaċ, just literally sit down and literally tell the person, I'm not here to argue, I'm here to have a conversation.
Yes, I feel this and this. Naf li inti mintix forsi qed tagħmelek to hurt me or, but it's really bothering me and can we do something about it?
The danger and then is obviously someone like your partner comes up to you with that issue. Listen, I feel like it's getting stale, you're not paying attention to me, blah, blah, blah. If he or she disagrees with you, says, listen, I'm doing the best I can. I don't know if you're realizing, you're not noticing the efforts that I'm putting. Maybe you're taking me for granted.
That can feel so shitty.
When do you know it's time to break up with a person? Because that's the thing. We're saying be patient with a person. Yes, 100%. Make sure you communicate everything before you make any decisions. Yes, 100%. Nibqaw sejri dek, imma when do you know it's time to break it off?
I feel like
Completely
if you know
end
that
it.
you've tried your best to communicate over and over and it's just a gut
It's
feeling.
a gut feeling, ta.
There isn't
Is the
a
gut feeling
moment.
enough, imma, if you just feel like, Lalo, I think I should break up with this person?
I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough on its own, but if you know that you tried,
If you're unhappy and you've tried and you're still unhappy,
like shut up but ta'amel.
You're going in circles at that point, no?
Yes,
I think
man.
once
Even
you
if
get
it's
back to
difficult.
point one, like once you go through the entire cycle and you get back to point one, like, okay, we've had this conversation, it's gone absolutely nowhere. I think consideration should then start being put into place.
even
You should
if
start
it's
thinking
a
about
difficult
it.
conversation, even if the other person doesn't agree, it's you need to do something kella taxxa and you're going to do something that you regret. Because if you're staying in a relationship just because you feel bad breaking up with the other
You're not
person,
only holding yourself
just because
back,
you're comfortable,
but you're gonna hold them back as well.
ħatħawat.
And if they're in oblivion to all this, or like they don't perhaps really get it, tipo, I feel like mbagħad like I mean, again, depends on the situation, but someone needs to put their foot down.
It takes guts.
Mala, yes.
For sure.
Yes, it does. It's really hard. Imma, again, if it's coming from a good place. Because I don't think that if you really love a person, you're just gonna... Isu xej mu xej.
Yeah, Mashak, it's impossible.
You know?
I want to make this one point before we end things, because it's...
Are we about to break up?
this is how I break up with people. I think that as much as we're saying be patient with the people, give them time away, I think just because sometimes it's super hard to leave people. Number one, because it's such an uncomfortable conversation to have with them, and it's really intimidating to need to start over again. But I think, and I just really wanted to say this to everyone listening, there's definitely one massive red flag that everyone should listen to, and if anyone is verbally, physically manipulative towards you or is putting their hands on you or something like that, one
really
strike and out.
Run.
Jolli naqaf fucking leħnu miegħek.
Or tolli leħena miegħek.
Because that happens as well.
It can happen.
Out. Because the second you stay, you're giving them all the power, and it gets even harder to leave later. So the second you notice a behavior like that to me is an absolute non-negotiable, you leave. And if you feel threatened for your life, I'm not saying that the situation is easy, get in touch with the right people, even people you confide in closely, protect yourselves with them, and get the fuck out. That's the only thing that would make me leave instantly if someone is abusing me mentally or physically.
Memx gut feeling u mux gut feeling.
No gut feeling. Just one very obvious feeling.
Yes.
The person's a piece of shit. That's all.
Nice.